How much money would you have today if 5 years ago you had made just one different decision when buying your car? Have you ever stopped to think about that calmly? Maybe you've never asked yourself this question, because most of us grow up believing that buying a car is just about paying the installments, signing the contract, and moving on with life. But what if I told you that there's an invisible, silent, and constant price draining your wealth month after month, just when you think everything is under control? Have you ever experienced this? That feeling that the car fits in your budget, until you discover that, deep down, it was taking much more than you imagined. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because today I'm going to show you, with real numbers and a powerful simulation, how much money you could have accumulated if you had followed the 24/10 rule over the last 5 years. Even earning little, even thinking it didn't make a difference, even believing that low installments meant smart buying. The hidden truth behind car-related consumption decisions is much deeper than simply choosing the prettiest model or the most lenient interest rate. There's a silent math happening behind the scenes, a math that separates those who build wealth from those who live eternally strangled by their car. Stay with me until the end, because when I show you the exact amount, it might hurt a little, but it's a liberating pain, the pain of seeing, for the first time, how much of your financial life has been drained without you realizing it. The pain of discovering that the money that could be growing, working, yielding, transforming into financial freedom, simply evaporated into interest, fees, and emotional choices disguised as practicality. And I know this affects you, because we don't really learn about personal finance. We don't learn about consumer decisions, much less about the traps the market creates to keep you in the same cycle. The 20-30-4-10 rule, which almost no one follows, isn't famous by chance. It's not just a method for buying a car. In practice, it's a dividing line between those who build wealth and those who compromise their future without realizing it. And it's impressive how simply following this rule, 20% down payment, 4 years of financing, and a maximum of 10% of income committed, can completely transform what's left at the end of the month. And it's precisely this surplus, this hidden difference, that makes all the magic happen when we look at the 5-year time frame. Just imagine, 5 years have passed anyway. Your salary changed, your routine changed, life changed. But the money you could have accumulated, that never came back. And that's why the simulation I'm going to present to you isn't just a calculation, it's a mirror. A true portrait of lost wealth, and of the wealth that can still be built if you decide to look at your financial choices more consciously from now on. Now, I want to take you inside this simulation, step by step, so you can clearly see the real impact of the 20-30-10 rule and understand why so many people are stuck in their cars without even realizing it. And while I guide you through this understanding, I want to ask you something that makes all the difference for those who create content like this, and especially for those who follow along. If this topic resonates with you, if any part of this conversation touched you or reminded you of a financial choice that marked your life, leave a comment below about what has resonated with you the most so far. Sometimes, a simple phrase from you can help someone else who is going through the same situation and hasn't even realized it yet. And take this opportunity to like this video, because when you do, YouTube understands that this type of content is important, that it helps, that it warns, that it transforms. It's a simple but powerful way to get this message to more people who need to open their eyes to this hidden truth about financial life. And if you're here seeking clarity, freedom, and a more conscious journey with your money, subscribe to the channel to walk alongside me. Your presence here isn't just a number. It creates a community of people who want to evolve, learn, and stop falling into the same traps that the market sets in our path. Your participation is what keeps this content alive, what gives us the strength to continue bringing analyses, real-world simulations, and conversations that many people don't dare to have. And it's curious how sometimes, precisely when we share what we feel or have experienced, other people find themselves in our story and finally understand that they are not alone. Now, taking a deep breath, and with this awareness awakening little by little, I want to take you even deeper into this simulation, because it's in this next step that everything starts to become truly clear. It's curious how everything seems to start innocently enough. A person walks into the dealership, looks at the car gleaming under those perfect lights, and before even understanding what they're doing, They're already being led to a table where someone says exactly what they want to hear. It fits your budget. That's how the cycle begins, not with a great rational decision, but with a gleam in their eye, with the idea that that low monthly payment is the perfect solution to finally own their dream car. And it's precisely at this moment that many people don't realize they're entering a system designed to favor emotion, not wealth. The small down payment seems advantageous, almost a gift. The long monthly payments give a sense of immediate relief. The high interest rates are hidden in the fine print. Maintenance is pushed to later, and the emotional cost of the dream car seems too small to spoil that initial feeling of accomplishment. When you look at everything from afar, it even seems simple to identify the problem. But in the heat of the moment, in an environment prepared for it, decisions aren't rational, they're emotional. And it's not your fault. It never was. There's a whole structure operating behind the scenes, trained to make you think in installments, never in assets. In momentary relief, never in financial freedom. In immediate comfort, never in the long term. It's amazing how small choices that seem harmless turn into commitments that last for years, draining energy, peace, and money without you even realizing it. And this creates a kind of emotional blindness, where you feel you're moving forward, when in reality, you're just going in circles. And there's something even deeper about it, the feeling of belonging. For many people, buying a car isn't about transportation. It's about self-esteem, validation, image, a sense of victory. That's why so many people accept high interest rates and endless installments without seeing the real impact of their decisions. They are, in fact, trying to fill something internal, not external. And when marketing discovers this weakness, it uses every detail to its advantage. Everything is planned so that you feel deserving, so that you convince yourself that you're getting a good deal, that the installment fits perfectly into your budget, even if, in the shadows, it's sucking away the possibility of investing, building wealth, accumulating something that will truly change your life over time. The most curious thing is that this process happens so silently that you only realize it when you're already trapped. And it's not a physical prison. It's a prison of choices, of mindset, of commitments that weren't thought through, only felt. When you look back and connect the dots, you realize it wasn't the car that trapped you. It was the way the system guided your decisions without you being clear about the impact. That's when the turning point comes. The moment you understand that you're not alone on this journey, and that transformation begins precisely when the hidden truth reveals itself to you. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding this dynamic is the first step in breaking a cycle that has repeated itself for generations. Before continuing, leave a comment below. That makes sense to me. When we get to this point in the conversation, it starts to become clearer why so many people feel financially lost even when doing everything right in theory. There's a logic behind buying a car that's rarely explained, and that's precisely where the 4-20-10 rule comes in. A simple, direct, and brutally honest rule that almost no one follows because it doesn't appeal to emotion. It demands discipline. And discipline, at the time of purchase, isn't usually the strongest voice within us. But that's exactly the line that separates the feeling of immediate achievement from true financial transformation over time. The 24-10 rule seems too basic at first glance. 20% down payment, 4 years of financing, and a maximum of 10% of income. Committed to the car. But a quick look at our country's consumer mentality reveals why it's so often ignored. It doesn't appeal to impulsive desires. It doesn't fit the sales pitch. It doesn't encourage that you deserve it now feeling. On the contrary, it pulls you back to reality, to conscious decisions, to the clarity needed to understand the impact of a long-term financial commitment. And there's something valuable here. Something that's almost never said because it doesn't sell. This rule isn't about cars. Not at all. It's about the money you have left over when you respect these limits. It's about protecting your future from hasty decisions and interest that, on its own, could build an entire fortune if it were invested instead of financed. It's about creating margin, breathing room, space for your money to grow, while you live your life without carrying the emotional and financial burden of a commitment greater than it should be. The most interesting thing is to realize how this rule works behind the scenes of your own financial journey. At first, it seems like just a restriction, as if it takes options off the table. But when you really look at it calmly, you realize it's exactly the opposite. It gives you back options. It gives you back freedom. It gives you back control. It prevents you from entering that silent game of long-term installments that imprison you, invisible fees that drain you, choices that seem smart at the moment but prove costly when you connect the dots a few years later. And when you apply this rule thinking about the whole picture, and not just the car, what really matters begins to emerge: the surplus. It is this surplus, small, medium, or large, depending on your reality, that changes everything. It's what opens doors. It's what allows you to invest. It's what starts building wealth. And that's why so many people underestimate the 4-20-10 rule, because they only look at the car and forget that true wealth lies precisely in what's left. Over after it. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when you understand the power of this surplus over 5 years, you realize that the impact goes far beyond numbers. It affects mindset, future choices, and how you view your own financial life. Before we continue, write this down. I'm on this journey too. When we delve into the simulation phase, everything that seemed like mere theory begins to take shape before our eyes. This is where the real impact happens, because numbers have a power that no opinion can match. They don't argue, they don't negotiate, they don't soften anything. They simply show the naked, raw, and often uncomfortable reality. And when you look at this reality honestly, you realize how much past financial decisions silently shape the life you are living now. So, let's imagine something simple. If, instead of taking out a long-term loan, you had followed the 24-10 rule and saved the difference between the actual payment and the ideal payment, how much money would you have accumulated in the last 5 years? Think about it. If the average person commits today to a monthly payment of, say, 1,500 reais on a 60-month loan, but according to the rules of financial discipline, should be paying a maximum of 10% of their income, something like 700 reais. There's a difference of 800 reais every month. What seems like a small amount in the short term is completely transformed when you look at the journey as a whole. Those same 800 reais invested month after month with an average return of only 0.8% per month, something absolutely realistic, would have become a small asset over 5 years. It's a silent but powerful transformation that happens away from the spotlight. No glamour, no immediate sensation, just the cumulative effect of the right choices. Now put that down on paper. Those 800 reais per month, invested consistently, would have generated more than 60,000 reais over 5 years, considering contributions and compound interest. And that's with conservative figures. If you adjust the return just a little, if financial discipline remains strong, or if small extra contributions are included throughout the months, that number could easily exceed 70,000. That's wealth. That's security. That's freedom. And all of that comes from what's left over. Not from the car, not from the installment payment, not from the emotion of the purchase, but from the conscious decision not to let the money slip through your fingers. Now look at the other side of the comparison. Those who fell into the trap of low-interest loans not only failed to invest, they also paid interest on interest, surrendered wealth to the bank, missed growth opportunities, and became trapped in an emotional commitment that consumes energy and peace of mind. The difference between these two paths is so great that it's painful. The first builds, the second corrodes. And the most ironic thing is that in practice, the difference between them isn't in the car, but in the accumulated impact of a choice made long ago, almost without thinking. And when you realize that those 60 or 70,000 reais represent more than the value of the car you drive, it finally sinks in. It's not about the car. It's not about the brand, the model, or the engine. It's about the future that could have been created with the money you let slip away. Although it may seem harsh to say this, there's a hidden truth here that needs to be faced. You didn't lose a car. You lost a future. Now I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because understanding this difference is just the beginning of the revelation that truly transforms your financial mindset. Before we continue, leave a comment below. That makes sense to me. When we reach this point in the conversation, something starts to change inside. It's no longer just about numbers, nor about a cold comparison between those who followed the rules and those who didn't. It's about awareness. About that uncomfortable, but necessary, feeling of realizing that perhaps you've been pulled by a system that doesn't want you to think about tomorrow, only about now. And precisely for that reason, this final turning point has nothing to do with guilt. Guilt paralyzes, freezes, makes us look back with regret. What really matters here is the transformation, the understanding that there is a smarter, lighter, and more strategic way to deal with money from now on. The truth is, there's still time. There always is. It doesn't matter if you've fallen into a long-term loan, if you're already paying high interest rates, or if you feel you've missed opportunities over the past few years. A person's financial journey isn't defined by a single choice. It's built on a sequence of decisions, and it's precisely in those decisions that you regain control. The simulation we ran isn't meant to make you feel bad, but rather to open your eyes to the hidden truth that almost no one sees. While the system trains you to live off installments, you can choose to live off your assets. It seems simple, but this change in mindset has a huge impact. Even if your income is limited, even if you feel you have no margin for error, there's room to apply the 4-20-10 rule within your reality. It's not about having a lot of money. It's about organizing the little you have so it stops slipping through your fingers. It's about adjusting course, cutting out unnecessary expenses, renegotiating terms, and rethinking what you consider a necessity. Little by little, almost without realizing it, this discipline opens up new paths. Small decisions accumulated over months can completely change your financial life in just a few years. And the most powerful part of all this is that you don't need to wait for the ideal moment. It starts exactly where you are. When you understand that every real saved is a seed, and that every financial habit is a piece of that bigger machine called the future, something inside you finally aligns. You stop seeing the car as a symbol of victory and start seeing it as a strategic choice that should fit into your plan, not your impulse. And when that change happens, you realize that your freedom doesn't depend on having the perfect car, but on the version of yourself that makes intelligent, conscious decisions aligned with the life you want to build. That's why, ultimately, the phrase that keeps echoing is simple, direct, and true. Your future doesn't depend on the car you buy. It depends on the version of you that makes smart financial decisions. And when that revelation happens, everything changes. Not all at once, but step by step, like any good journey of transformation. Now, I want to delve even deeper into this subject, because when we start applying this clarity in practice, possibilities that previously seemed distant emerge. Before continuing, write this down. I'm on this journey too. If you've made it this far, it's because something in this content truly resonated with your story, your decisions, and perhaps even that silent desire to change the course of your financial life. And that's precisely why I want to extend a simple, light, almost natural invitation after this journey together. If this video helped you see something new, if it sparked some awareness or clarity, subscribe to the channel. This isn't just a technical gesture. It's a way of showing that this type of conversation makes sense to you and that it's worthwhile to continue. Building this space where we talk about money in a genuine, human, and direct way. And since you've stayed with me until the end, leave a comment below with a phrase I really like to use to tag those who truly live this journey. I'm with you until the end. It's the most beautiful way for me to know who is truly walking with me and who is committed to this inner transformation that begins with small decisions. If you'd like to leave a like, feel free. The truth is, when you do that, the video reaches more people who are experiencing the exact same dilemmas you faced. And this exchange creates a community of people who are trying to do better, step by step, one decision at a time. And before you go, there's a video here that perfectly complements everything we talked about today. Click and continue with me there, because this journey is only just beginning.